Hey everybody, this is lesson 24. This is going to be called Next Level Habits. And this is really about immersion, for creating habits. Not so much kind of like just looking at one habit to work on every day for so many days and then work on another habit, but it's kind of just like setting a template that you can pre-design in your mind of how somebody else would live on a different level, and then thinking about all the ways that that would be applicable, how they would do everything different, and then just kind of jumping in, kind of like jumping in the swimming pool in a different swimming pool altogether, like just full immersion, right? If you want to learn a language, it's I would imagine it'd be like way easier just to learn the language if you just went to France and started just to hear everybody talk French all the time in everything that they said, instead of just picking one word to learn for 2 weeks or 21 days or something and then going on to word two. I kind of see that as habit, right? Just kind of like immerse yourself in like a whole different level, includes all different habits for every area of life because it's synergetic, right? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. It's easier to do everything. It's easier to do any one thing if you're doing everything all together than it is just to do one thing without changing anything else. Okay, so like I'll just like for example, like if I was to just work out once a day, but I'm not eating properly, I'm not sleeping properly. I got all these other things that aren't going for me that are going to contribute to that. It's going to be harder to work out every day than if I change my diet, I get my sleep, I change all these other things. It's going to work synergistically, and everything's going to be easier because I eat better. I'm going to have more energy to work out. Because I work out, I'm going to feel like eating better. If we change everything all at once, it's going to be easier, I believe, than just trying to do one thing, right? So that kind of principle applies to actually a lot of things. Just what comes to mind, if you're going to break a board, if you just put in like 1% effort and you do that like over and over again, you'll never break through the board. But if you put in like 110% effort, you'll bust right through it. And the thing is, it's going to be easy. Like the harder, like more effort you put into it, the easier it is to break through it. It's like it doesn't even exist, right? So I want you to think about that. Just the validity of that. So I'm just gonna break this down here, so you can see, just visually what I'm talking about. Let's say this is you, and you're here on this level, and you have certain habits where your exercise is at this level, your eating is at this level. You have all these different habits, right, that make you feel sick, tired, overweight, uninspired, bad, attitude. All these things are going not good for you, right? And you envision a self that lives on this level. Okay, this person here is energetic. They eat well. They get sleep. They're living on a whole new level, right? So for this person to become this person can't, from their perspective, they got like a mindset, that is tied in to this, to creating this reality and tied into these habits. They've got they got a whole mindset that is just locked in and is all kind of like really pre-programmed, and their habits are set to here. Now, if this person looks up to these habits, what this person's doing, they're going to see it as not really realistic that they can do it because they're coming from their perspective. This person doesn't see it easy to go, let's say, work, do the workout that this person does. He doesn't see it easy to change their diet to this person, right? Because they're used to doing this, and it's all habit for them. For them to do any one thing, it's going to require like a lot of effort, right? So let's say you want to raise your habits to this level. All your habits are raised to this level. Now, that's kind of what we're doing with our grid. We are creating a picture on our grid that is at, all our habits that are going to be on a new level. That if we did any one of those habits, we're doing that habit that's on the next level habit, right? Let's say we work out every day. This is what this person does. That's one of the habits we do in our grid. And we would do that. And if we do this habit and this habit, all these habits are on this level, then we're going to become this person versus just, this person who's doing all these habits. So we want next level habits. This pen's dead, pretty much. Let me just clear this out for a second. Make this a little bit easier to see. All right, so we want, when we wake up, we want to see ourselves as this person, and we want to raise all our habits to the next level. Keep the garbage trucks outside. All right, so it's hard for us to wake up in the morning and see ourselves as this person becoming that person because it would take a lot of work to become that. But I have this, this descension versus ascension theory, which is basically let's say we're human beings, seeing, we want to grow as human beings into some spiritual, become spiritual or something and ascend. Like some people want to have this idea of ascending or something, or, and go from human to some sort of, ascended being or something like that. That's what some people do. So that's kind of like, it's not taking into consideration this whole theory of, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? That would mean kind of like we already start from this level and then we're descending and into a bodily form and living, from the human, living as the human from the spiritual, right? We're descending down. But let's take it a little step farther. Let's just say that we're spiritual and we can see this character or this character, and if we were to drop down and become this, it's actually like taking really no effort just to drop down to this level versus drop down to this level. It would actually be harder to kind of go from a spiritual being and drop down to a lower level energy and because it's not really where we're coming from, right? So let's say we're a spiritual being and just like an actor just steps into a role, right? It'd be hard for an actor that believes its role to try to step into another role when it can't let go of its identification, right? So if we just see ourselves as an actor, we can become anything. We can just go straight there to whoever we want to be automatically. This pen's not working. Let's try this one. Okay, so, all right, so that's the Ascension beach ball. All right, so let's talk about our what's it called, our self-image and what we identify with. All right, so let's say if we already get the mindset of a person who lives here, and that's what we're doing with the grid, we review it over and over again until these habits become part of our thinking long before we even do the habits even, right? And we can start to do the habits because the habits are going to be in line with the thinking that we can pre-program into our mind. So if we did that, then we would change our mindset and that would change everything. So let's say that, let's use Donald Trump as an example. Let's say he has a mindset of being a billionaire. He's a billionaire and he, like a beach ball, if you try to push a beach ball underwater, it'll just rise back up to the surface, right? Because that's where a beach ball naturally resides, is at that level. So if Donald Trump lost everything and he found himself down here on the streets because his mindset is up here, it's kind of like the beach ball, it'll pull him back up to this level because that's where he's used to living. So we want to develop the mindset of the person who lives here, and we can do that by reviewing what level do I want to live at and how would that affect every area of my life, and then program that way of thinking into your mind so that becomes the beach ball that lifts you up and raises you up to that level of habits even before you start your habits, because it's hard to do a next level habit from this mindset and it's easier to do it from this mindset, right? This person here, for them to do work at this level, it's just going to be like easy. It's easy for a person who's energetic, who eats well, who gets sleep, to go and get up and go for a jog or something, right? But it's hard for this person who wakes up and they're uninspired and they're tired and they're overweight and they don't eat well and they're miserable. It's hard for them to get the mentality to say, hey, I want to go for a jog, right? So you want to change your mentality first, which is we can do it through the cards, and that's easy to do with review and repeat, and then it'll make it easier for us to do the habits that are in line with that. So there's that. Okay, so yeah, like when I was talking about immersion, we want to do it all together so that it's easier. I'll talk about like just another note on identification. You can change everything just by changing your identification. When I was a kid, I remember going to like a Billy Graham crusade, and I remember like people would go up to the front and they become Christian, and then they change everything, right? So I was wondering about that. I was kind of curious as like what happened there, right? And if a person re-identifies as being something else, before I was this, now I'm like identify with this, you start to think from now, if I'm identifying with this new label, like as I'm going to be like a Christian or something, let's say, for example, or it could be any other kind of religion that you want to identify with. You're going to think from that place. You're going to re-identify as that person, and you're going to say, how does that change everything in my life? How am I going to how does a Christian eat? How did they think? What did they say? You're going to start to think from that identification. Just like an actor would take on a role, you're going to take, as soon as you take on a specific role, you're going to think, how does that person do everything? So you step into that role, how you do everything changes automatically. So that's vastly different than thinking of just working on one habit for 21 days or something, or just repeating that without changing your identification and without changing anything else. It's like you're on this level, you're just changing one habit, but you're still this person on this level and identifying with this person on this level, instead of jumping straight to here on a person on this level if they did everything different, and then think from that place. It's vastly different. So identification. Okay, so how we think. I'll go over a lot of videos. It's kind of like makes a difference for everything. So if you have, it's what things mean to you, right? So if you have two people and they're moving rocks from one pile to the other pile, one person is just disinterested, they feel it's taxing, they're not into it, right? Another person is just hurriedly moving rocks, right? With ambition. Now, if one person was told that for every rock they get to the other side, they get $1 million, and they have 5 minutes to do it, one person's going to hustle, and the other person, if they're not told that, it's because they're not aware of that. They don't have something, internal knowledge of, changing the meaning of what they're doing. It's going to change how they do it, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, if we make a diagram and we explain it in our minds with analogies and stuff of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and it makes sense to us, that's going to help us get up in the morning and do, let's say work out, even if we don't think, feel like it, because we're going to go through different reasons of why, if you have stuff in your mind of why it would make sense to do it, that it's actually easy to do it because it's part of something else. It's part, we give it meaning of what it means. We give like how it's going to turn out if we do this. We can see long term, right? And we know if we work out every day for a long term, we can jump straight to that end result 365 days from now. How would we be then, and live from that place now? And that helps us motivate us, right? If we see it's not going to do anything as far as creating a result, if we do something, then that's not very motivating, right? We want to change in our mind how we think so that it's motivating for us to do it, right? Because as I say, you jump straight to the end result, and that gives weight to whether or not we want to do it. So I could talk about that more. It's in a lot of stuff I do. So it's how we think, and then also like this person here, like if I'm working out and I'm going from here to there, right, and I know that if I work out often, I become that person, it'll be easy for me. But right now, let's say it's hard, it's struggle or something like that to make changes. it's almost like you almost have to die to your old self. You have to be willing to let go of your self identification of who you are right now, who you believe you are right now, and just let go of that so you can rise up to this level. Because you remember the beach ball, right? This is kind of like an anchor, like a weight that holds us down. If we keep this self identification and we not let go of it, we have to let go of it, cut the rope, so we can bounce back up to this. So there's that, and that's kind of like, if we're working on, we feel the pain, feel the burn, stuff like that. I kind of almost imagine it's kind of almost like a refiner's fire. If you put like a sword into the hot coals, it begins to burn and strengthen the alloys. Oh, you know what I mean. So it becomes stronger, right? And if you envision that's what's happening to you, then it helps keep going through that process towards where you get out of it as a strong person, made of, steel kind of thing, right? You're just that refiner's fire is kind of like an imagery that I use just to embrace the pain of change kind of thing, right? And to just let go and become like your essential self that at the core is resilient. So there's that. And then I like to think too, if we got all these different habits. I remember listening to a new guy started listening to a program I got from him. It was Everyday Spy, and he was talking about like him and his wife. When they're talking with each other, they say that sometimes we have like all these different kind of, I'm not sure if he said personalities, but like times of our lives, like let's say somebody's triggered and they were triggered since they were like 5 years old or something, and when they start to respond, it's like, hey, I'm talking to the 5-year-old in you, right? The person that was hurt when they were 5 years old, or I'm talking to the executive part in you, or I'm talking to the carefree part of you, right? We have these different kind of personalities that come out depending if we're working, or if we're working out, or if we're studying. These different different kinds of hats that we wear, right? So anyways, with that theme is if we have all these different things we want to change in habits and stuff, it's kind of almost would feel more taxing to me to feel like I have to do all these things, just me, right? But if I had a team and I had the workout guy that just does the workout, he just has to do the workout, right? And then he's done until tomorrow. He can just take a break and he's on the back burner. The workout guy did his workout, and then you got somebody else stepping in to do let's say the reading guy, right? And see, almost like you have multiple selves, like the Everyday Spy was talking about, we have different hats we wear and stuff, and almost step into a new self, because it almost like you're fresh, you come on the ice fresh, and you're it's not, you're kind of like not accumulating all this mental baggage of you have to do all this stuff for one person. You can kind of like subdivide it up into these different kind of personalities or hats that we wear, and see it like that, not just kind of like not in like an insane schizophrenic way, but just in a way to help our mind kind of separate what we just did and put it away and take on a new sense of self, just to kind of like let the weight go kind of thing, and to kind of have like a fresh new energy kind of thing. So there's that. And then also, okay, I'm going to talk about energy involved for this person to get to this next level. Like, let's say you're riding a bike, it's going to take energy to get, to go uphill, right? You're going to put in more effort and stuff. But once you're here and you get up your speed on a bike, if you're on a 10 speed or something like that, once you get going and you're at your speed, to maintain that speed, it's easy. You just keep kind of just easy going along, and it's very easy to maintain the speed at whatever kilometers per hour when you're kind of going fast than it is just to maintain the speed when you're going slow. Once you're going and you're just coasting, and you're just kind of pedaling a bit just to keep yourself at that speed, it's easy, right? The hard part and where you need most energy is at the start to get yourself to another level. Once you're at this level, you just need like maintenance kind of energy. If you want to go up to the next level, you're gonna have to throw in more energy. So it's kind of like a rocket, takes the most energy at the start to get out of the atmosphere, and then it only needs like 1/10 of the amount of fuel or something to get after it's out of the atmosphere to get from here to the moon kind of thing, but it takes a tremendous amount of energy, like 90% of all the energy is used up just to get out of the atmosphere. So that's kind of like we want to use, see that right now, yeah, it might take a lot of energy to get to the next level, but once we're here, we're going to be a fit, a clear, a energetic, a healthy, well-rested person, and doing all these habits from this level, opposed to waking up not that and trying to do any of these things, is going to be easy. So we want to envision ourselves when we get to that level, everything's going to be easier as from that person, right? Who we become. So it's coasting, there's rocket, there's immersion, and then also like I put in like sales steps. You know, if you go into a store and they say, hey, do you want to buy a $2,000 whatever? You're not ready for that, you're not looking for that, you might be like, whoa, that's too much, too soon, right? But if they kind of like say, hey, maybe try this out, a sample or something, right? How do you like that? Yeah, that sounds good. Well, and then, introduce like something a little bit more, and you're kind of like just stepping into it. And then pretty soon, you start adding on this, yeah, I pick that, and then you end up purchasing something that ends up being $2,000 or something. So it's kind of like what I do is, let's say, I get up in the morning, I don't really feel like just jumping out of bed and working out, but I do feel like having my coffee, I feel like kind of reviewing some cards, and then I feel more awake. And then at that point, I put on some music, and it all just keeps moving towards making, jumping into these higher level activities just easier, right? And then once you do this and you just work out, then you're already at this level, for what the activity that you did, you're at this level, and then it's easy to do all these other habits that are at that level. It's easier to eat properly, it's easier to go to bed and get some sleep, it's easier to do all these things once you get yourself up to this level. So it all works synergistically. That's why immersion and changing everything, and that's why I work on a grid, and I think, how, if I was living at the next level, how would I do everything differently, right? And I start to really, I really define how everything would change. And then I start to review that and change the program in my mind. Even if I'm still at this level, I change the program in my mind so the program emulates the program that I'd have if I was already at this level, right? Instead of taking years of changing my habits, so that eventually changes the program to be in line with the habits that I created over years. I jump straight to the program. I ask myself, what would that be? And then I download that program from this place. And because I got this program, I can review with my cards. It's like that ball that's underwater. Now the ball's, filled with helium or something, or air or whatever. It's not filled with water at this level, like a, sinking ship or something like that, or an anchor. Because it's this, your mental context and your way of thinking and your all your belief systems and paradigm and everything is all at this level. You're gonna wake up in the morning and you're gonna think from that level, and you're gonna think from that place as if you were already at that place, and somehow you just found yourself in this body, in this reality. You're gonna say, this isn't where I belong. You're thinking from here. I want to get up, I want to go jogging. Maybe you're not fit already, but you're a fit person within a body that's not fit, right? So that's vastly different than identifying with a not fit body, trying to become a fit person, rather than identifying with, I'm a fit person within a not fit body, and I'm a person with a psychology of making so much money per month, person with psychology of eating a certain way, person with the psychology of getting enough sleep. You have this mindset, and it's easier, even if you find that you're living at this level, it's easier to just start living from that next level habits. So yeah, that's a lot of information. I thought this would be like 2 minutes, but my ability to make short videos is not quite there yet. So anyways, thanks.